I really thought I'd find Betty today.
I told you not to get your hopes up, Edward. I mean, we just got here. It's a big place. She could be anywhere.
It's just the thought of her alone out there. In the dark.
She's a tough cookie. You're Betty. Tougher than you, teddy bear.
That she is.
What did you find?
Someone tried to burn this.
Just like the book. Isn't that odd?
It's addressed to Mrs. Fretland. My dearest Anna. It's from her sister, Margaret. Frederick's wife. The two brothers married sisters, remember?
Yes, and it's adorable. Keep reading.
I really shouldn't.
Really? How else are we going to figure out what happened? Keep reading.
My dearest Anna, I miss you so very, very much. The baby is due soon, and I wish for our family to reunite before... It's been 7 years since the dreadful incident at the mine. Can we not convince Frederick and Johann to forgive and forget? I know there are things Frederick has not told me about what they found and why they parted ways. Their grudge is tearing us all apart. Frederick won't even let me speak to half of our neighbors, accusing them of treason. He's so very angry and full of regrets. It's eating him up. And we...
And we what?
The rest is unreadable.
Margaret reached out to her sister, but I guess it didn't work.
This was written before Simon was born, but burned recently. I feel restless.
You should sleep.
I'm not sure I can. But yes, I'll try. In a bit. I feel restless.
You should sleep.
I'm not sure I can. But yes, I'll try. In a bit.
What are you doing?
Betty will want these back.
I don't think it's healthy
Not now,
to...
please. I'm exhausted.
Quite the day, huh?
I'm ready to pass out. Where will you sleep?
I'll be up for a while. My mind's simply racing.
Don't stay up late. Wake me if you hear the Fretlands arriving.
Of course. And I'll keep my eyes open for any ghosts that might want to haunt you in your sleep.
There are no...
Hush now. Sleep.
Alice!
Upstairs! Betty? Is that you?
Lissy!
In the bedroom.
This is her room. Are you paying attention? Ruth. Can you imagine? One moment you're living a perfectly happy life, and then... nothing. Darkness. Forever and ever. Maybe there's something here that can tell us what happened to her.
This is a waste of my time.
We might be the only ones left to tell her story, Edward.
You're just being melodramatic. I'll help you look.
Ruth was an artist.
This is very primitive.
Have you ever met a child, Edward? She wasn't Monet, she was 8. This must be the village church. That's Ruth and her family on one side of the aisle, Simon and his father on the other.
A community divided.
She found something.
Where's that supposed to be?
A cave. Or the...
Mine. It could be. But what did she find?
something important enough to draw. That must be Ruth and Simon's fathers.
Perhaps. They weren't on the best of terms.
They look like they want to kill each other.
To a child, maybe it looked worse than it was.
Children are more insightful than you give them credit for, Teddy Bear. She made her bed that morning. Before she...
Or her parents did. It doesn't matter. It tells us nothing.
Why are you like this today? Betty's not the only person in the world that matters.
She matters the most to me.
Ain't that the truth? Ruth never finished this. What does that spell? F-O-R-B.
For Banelson. The curse.
Who's that figure supposed to be? It's creepy.
A figment of her imagination. But the box she drew... It looks like this box under her desk.
Really? Let me see. Pull it out. What is this?
I believe this might qualify as actual treasure.
Is that Norwegian money?
Sort of, but ancient. Viking coins.
Are they valuable?
Not in terms of monetary value, but historically. Well, they belong in a museum.
Looks like Ruth had her own private museum.
Why would a child have these artifacts?
She must have enjoyed collecting and playing with them.
These are much too precious to play with. She should have given these to an adult.
She was a child, Edward. To her, they were just shiny toys. Wait! The pin. On the doll.
This is where it came from. Her collection.
But where did she find these treasures?
If we're to believe her drawing, perhaps the mine. She may have found a gravesite. Wherever she found them, she wanted to keep them hidden.
You think someone found out?
These items wouldn't necessarily be worth much, except to a historian or archaeologist.
What if this is how... I mean, if someone learned she'd been collecting treasures, they might be willing to do terrible things. There's a story here. The treasure box, the drawings.
The overactive mind of an imaginative child.
She didn't imagine the Viking artifacts. You shouldn't be so dismissive. The drawings could be her way of dealing with traumatic events.
This is what happens when I read you the principles of psychology. You get notions.
You say that like it's a bad thing. Ruth was troubled. The village was troubled, and... Is that a bell?
The church bell. Someone's here. Maybe... Betty.
Why would Betty ring the church bell?
Perhaps she's in trouble. I need to get to the church right now.
Wait, isn't it more likely to be the person you saw the other night? We
I
should be
told
careful.
you, I'm not sure that was anything. Come on.
Go ahead. I'll catch up with you before you get there. I need a minute to think about all of this.
Lissy!
I'm up at the farm.
July 24th. Memorial service. A commemoration of the accident at the mine this past summer. No services after that.
All these fresh graves. Do you think that maybe
No.
Betty...
I'd know.
But
You wouldn't understand. Elizabeth and I, we have a bond.
God, Edward. Your obsession with her is really starting to grate.
Why board up a church?
To keep the ghosts from escaping?
Regardless of how they got past the boards, there's someone in there.
Gone fishing?
God is not here.
Well, of course he isn't. You won't find God in a church. God is the wind in the trees, the grass between your toes, the brook that runs
That's
through.
nature, not God.
Who did this?
Someone who'd lost their faith.
Can you peek through the boards? See anyone?
No,
Listen! The bell! They're still in there!
Hello? I heard the bell.
This is giving me
I'm
the
here to help.
heebie-jeebies.
These boards look flimsy enough to break.
Look at that. The Ethel becomes an Edward. I didn't think you had it in you, old fruit.
Be quiet. Betty? Are you here? Hello? This is Edward Harden. I'm looking for my sister,
Stop
Elizabeth.
shouting, Edward. We're alone. There are only ghosts here.
There are no ghosts.
I don't know about that. What's this rope for?
The bell. Lissy, look. Betty's gloves. They are definitely Betty's.
Oh, for
She got
Pete's
these
sake.
in Boston before she left for New York. She bought them at Woolworth. I remember the day She's here.
Where? And why would she leave her clothes lying around? It doesn't make
Breadcrumbs.
sense.
She's sending me a message. She knew I'd recognize her gloves, her hat. She's left a trail for me to follow, like Ariadne's red thread.
We're not in a
Betty will
labyrinth.
have left more crumbs.
Betty, you're turning into such a pill. What happened here?
The sign on the door. God is not here. Their faith was challenged, and it didn't survive. That bell still bothers me. The church book, a record of births and deaths.
So we can find out what happened to the people in the village?
And, Elizabeth. I mean, if she was dead,
Her name would be in the book.
vandals. Tore it to pieces.
I don't think the missing pages left the church. Look. How many pages are missing?
I counted 4.
They're probably all still here. I know. Let's make it a competition. 1-0 to Team Me. I wanted you to find that one. I know what a rotten loser you are. The final dinner.
The Last Supper. Who taught you about the New Testament?
I pick up on things. Most folks aren't heathens, like you.
What are you doing? We're in a church.
Thought you didn't believe in God.
I do believe in civility.
What's that?
The last sermon that was held here.
What does it say?
The vicar's handwriting is hard to decipher, and the language. He talks about the village being divided for 20 years. This sermon was held on the anniversary of the accident this past summer. He's asking the congregation to help heal old wounds, to forgive, and move on. Something to the effect of, you sit in separate aisles in God's house.
Like Ruth's drawing. I told you, she was perceptive.
Tilly Verandre.
Edward?
Forgive each other. It addresses Johann and Frederick directly. But I wonder if they were even here.
Remember the wedding picture? They were close friends once. How could they allow their grudge to escalate until...
You call each other traitors, but the only thing you've betrayed are the bonds that unite us. It sounds like Grovik was split in two, between those who stood by Johann and those who supported Frederick.
Because of Ruth?
This sermon is from before that. No, this is all about the preceding 20 years of division and disagreements. Here's something else. Many of you believe Grovik was cursed 20 years ago. God has not cursed you. This curse is of your own making.
Ruth's drawing mentioned a curse. What do you think that means?
It means they believed they were cursed, and that they needed something or someone to blame for their misfortune.